Testing. All right, cool. That works. All right. So today we are going to be building out Calendly in Airkit. And so what that means is I want to pretty much mirror the experience that you see in Calendly here inside of Airkit, building this in low code. And so so essentially how Calendly works is that you have a date picker that you can see here, and this is connected to my Google Calendar. And so when I select a date, it's going to show all of the free slots that I'm available in 30-minute increments. And what I want to do is I want to pretty much take this and copy it over into, or not copy it, but like rebuild this over into Airkit. And so if I click on, let's say 11 a.m., I click on confirm, I put in some details, and then what it does is when you schedule that event, it schedules a meeting between myself and whoever's in this email list. And I'm going to actually also attach and generate a Zoom link. So we're going to be working with the Google API. We're going to be working with the Zoom API. And we're also going to be building in, this experience in Airkit. And so let's go ahead and get started. And so I'm going to caveat this this video with I've essentially like built out the data flows already, just because there's a handful of logic that I wanted to kind of like make sure that I was prepared to kind of showcase. And so go ahead and take a look at let's go ahead and just take a look at the data. Actually, let's integrate with the Google API and the Zoom API first. And so I've actually already created those integrations as well. And so if we go to console here, and I can go ahead and go down to custom integrations. And so I'm using the Google OAuth. Let's just call it Google Calendar API. Authentication. All right, so I'm using Google Auth. I'm also using develop Zoom OAuth. I think I can sign in here. All right, so I'm connecting to the Google API. I'm also connecting to the Zoom API. I'll put the links in the description below with how to kind of set this up on the Zoom and Google end. And then the way that it's set up from the credentials perspective is if we take a look at my Zoom OAuth, you can see here, this is kind of what it looks like. So I'm choosing OAuth 2.0 as the authentication type. Client ID and client secret are then integration parameters. Authorization grant type is authorization code. I've got the access token endpoint. It's going to be a post. I've got the authorization endpoint. And then the scope is meeting right admin. And then using the integration parameters that you see here, this is client ID here. If I click on this, this is just simply the parameter name and the description. Same with the client secret. And then I've got the client secret here. This is actually brackets client underscore secret. And then header authorization bearer token. And so what this does is it actually allows us to pass the client ID and client secret over when we create the connected account. So same thing with the calendar API here. So I've got this authorization endpoint. This is pretty much, this has query parameters of access type is equal offline and prompt is equal to consent. The OAuth scopes are calendar and let's see, what is this? Calendar read only, and then calendar events are the OAuth scopes. Client ID, client secret here for the integration parameter, as integration parameters, very similar. Header, authorization, bearer token. So those two are the integrations that we're going to be working with. And then if we take a look at connected accounts, let's just create, like, for example, the Zoom OAuth one. So let's say this is called Zoom integration. And then for the client ID, I can go ahead and grab that from Zoom. So I've already created an app here. So I've got this client ID. And then I've got the, where am I clicking? I've got the client secret. And is this hidden? That's not hidden. So I'm going to move this over. And then you can see when I click on create, it opens up a modal for me to. So what happened is it opened up like a modal, like an OAuth flow, and that allows me to actually sign in and create this Zoom integration. So those are the connected accounts that we're going to be using, or yeah, essentially the integrations that we're going to be using. So let's go ahead and take a look back at our application. And okay, so then in settings, what we can do is, and I think I should actually refresh this. We can actually connect those connected accounts. So I just showed you of myself creating the Zoom one, but you're going to do the same thing with the Google one. And then here, I've got my Zoom integration. So, so yeah, that's essentially how you like, in a nutshell, how you create those integrations. But we are focusing on actually the logic here and how to build out Calendly. So if we take a look at this again, what we want to do is let's create a let's get a date picker in here, so we can say select date time. All right, so I am going to look for date and time, and here we only want it in the future. Let's make it a month. I think that's how Calendly has it. Yeah, it's like the month. This is bound to date picker underscore picker here. And then I want a label here that says, let's have this say, I don't know. What does it say here? Select a date and time. Date and time. So here, what we're doing is whenever, I think it's like when someone selects this, let's just see. If I select this sets a variable. Awesome. So that means on the value change, what we can do is we can just have it run the data flows. And the data flows is essentially like the real meat of this application. If we go to connections, you can see here I've got the important ones are the top three here. We got get free slots, merge objects, and then generate 30-minute slots. I'm gonna walk you through how like the logic of me creating this. And so if we take a look at the Google API, where's free busy? Here it is. The Google API free busy. This returns everywhere, all of the time slots that you are busy. So initially I've got a data flow, and the input of this data flow is a date. So this is September 5th, 2022. And this is in a date format, right? This is a date object. Google expects this to be in RFC 339. So that's essentially the format that we want to pass it in as. And so we can use the format datetime Airscript function to put it in that format. So you can see here, we've got that format. What I'm doing is I'm hard coding that my day is, and you'll see me use this later, but essentially I'm creating a time start and a time end, right? You can see here I've got a time min and time max. My time min is going to be 9 a.m. and my time max is going to be 5 p.m. So 9 to 5 is when I want people to be able to schedule a meeting with me. So that looks good. And that looks good. Essentially two of the same transforms. You can see this is now and this is end of day. I should call this start of day, but so there's that. I then run this data flow. And so okay, let me make this just a little bigger. I now run this data flow, and this data flow is I run this HTTP request. So I make a request against the free busy API, and I pass the time min now and the time max end of day. Can I change this? Start of. Awesome. So this changes start of day. I've got end of day, time zone, Pacific time, items, ID of my calendar. So I want to essentially just pass in when I'm free on that calendar day. Let's do a little busier day. What's tomorrow? The 18th. We'll do Friday actually. Do the 19th of August. So gotta run these again. Make sure I save. And I should return back a few more. Okay, awesome. So all of these are pretty much when I am busy, right? But what I'm interested in and what Calendly has is when I am free. So between the hours of 9 to 5, these are the times that I am free on Friday. You can see here, these are essentially the 9 to 10:30. I'm actually busy. 10:45 to 11:30. I'm actually busy. I have a meeting. And so I'm only able to schedule between those hours. So what I have to do is I have to actually run some logic to get the free slots. And so what I'm doing initially to get the free slots, I am taking the end of my, I guess, the initial meeting of like this object, and I'm creating an object again, like that is merged with the start of the next object. And what that's doing is, so it's creating these layers, right? So I've got, so this ends up being my start of my free time and the end of my free time. So 10:30 to 10:45. Here 11:30 to 12. And then 14, which is 2 till my end of day. So you can see here I've got the merge objects data flow, and then I'm passing item.end, which is this one, and this one. And what this run data flow is going to do, it's going to essentially loop through and then run whatever is inside this data flow. And I'll show you what that is in soon. And so, and I'll show you that in just a little bit. And so this new end here, which is then transform index.start, which is index. And so the index is essentially 0, 1, 2. And so initially it's going to be like dot start plus 1, which is this one. So you actually skip this one. So plus 1 that one, and then plus 1 that one. And then we're looping through the transform, which is essentially the return of the API request. So if we just take a look at merge objects, all that's doing is just merging these two items and creating it's going to create a list of new slots here. So if we go back to our generate new slots, scroll down to that run data flow, click on run. Awesome. Now I have a list of essentially like when I'm free, starting from the very first one. So I'm free from 10:30 to 45, free from 11:30 to 12, and I'm free from 14 till null. I realize that there's this null, and I want to essentially I want to take this and see when I'm free all the way to the end of my day. So pretty much from 1400 hours to 1700 hours, which is 5. So I've got time from format here. This is just taking the very first, this is just taking the very first item of the transform. And that transform is this one right here. AKA this is when I'm busy. Very first item of the transform. The this one is essentially taking, this one's essentially taking the very last item of the transform, or like of connection output actually, which is, so this is the very first item of the transform. Ugh. So this is the very first item of, this is the very first time slot of the busy time slot. This one is the very last item of the free time slot. And so here, what I'm doing is I'm checking to see, okay, is the very first item of the free time slot, is the very last item of the busy time slot less than 17, which is essentially, is it before 5? If it's before 5, then create an object that takes it and then has that as the start till 5 p.m. So now I have a start and end time of when my last meeting is until the end of the day. And so if we go down here, transform 1.hour, this is checking to see if this is checking to see if the if the beginning of my day, essentially my first meeting, this is checking to see when my first meeting is, and if it's greater than or equal to 9, then what I want to do is I want to create an object here that, and actually I think it should be just greater than 9. Because it has to be greater than 9. It doesn't make sense for it to be equal. So if it's greater, if it's all right. So what this is doing is it's taking this, it's checking to see when my first meeting is. If it's after 9, then I want to actually create an object that is from 9 a.m. till that time. So you can see here, my first meeting is actually from 9 to 10:30 or something like that. And so I just return null here. Because and then from here, what I'm doing is I'm going to pretty much append the connection output. The connection output is all of the free times, but like we haven't like actually formatted and transformed that data yet. We're appending transform to, which is the beginning of my day. So this is actually going to be null. And so we actually won't see anything here, because if we take a look now at that user defined function, this is what the user defined function is. It is simply appending that element into the array, and then removing everything that's null. So that's what that does. All right. And then this one, this is looping through the All right, so what I'm doing here is I am pretty much going to get my start hour. And so the reason why this is important, because I am going to use it in just a little bit to pretty much compare if my start hour, I'm going to use it to all right, so now that we've generated essentially the free slots, we're going to have to massage this data a little bit to actually get what we want. You can see here, this actually starts at 10:30, but my day starts, let's say my day starts at 9 o'clock. Here we also have a null value because this here, the end of the last meeting was at 2 o'clock, but we never added a 5 p.m. at the end here. And so here I'm formatting the essentially when the first busy time was. And here, so you can see this is like the first busy start hour. Here I'm formatting the end of the meetings. And the reason why this is important, because then I can take the first busy slot hour, like busy hour, and compare it and see if I need to create an object that starts from 9 till that time. Same with the end. I can get the end, the last hour of the meeting, or last time of the meeting, and see if I can get object from, or see if I need to create an object from that time till 5 p.m. So you can see like from 14 to 17 as those hours. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm comparing the end hour and see if it's less than 17, then create this object. So you can see here, I'm creating an object. So I'm creating an object for the start and for the end. And down here, I'm also doing the same thing if the start hour is greater than 9. So the start hour is actually at 9. So that means it actually ends up being null. But yeah, here what we're pretty much doing is we are taking the output of the free slots and then getting the length, essentially like the very last of the very last object in that list, and keying in on that start property. Here, what we're doing is we are appending now the outputs of the free slots with the start of day slot. And so the start of day slot is pretty much, the start of day slot is null. And so when I run it, you can see here, nothing gets added here because it's null. I'm using the append user function. This is a user defined function that I created. And what we're doing here is this takes in an array and then adds an element and then removes all of the null values. All right. And then down here, what we're doing is we are essentially appending the start of the day to the end of days. Sorry, we're appending the end of day slot to the start of day, and then we're removing where end is equal to null, or essentially removing everywhere where end is null. Taking that and then ordering it, and then spitting it back out. So now we've got this. A free time slot from 10:30 to 10:45, 11:30 to 12, and then 2 to 5. So great. So these are all of my free slots. But in Calendly, it has your free slots, but it's split up into 30-minute increments. And so I then created another data flow that passes in a start time and an end time. And so we are going to pass in the free slots as the data, and it's essentially going to loop through item.start and item.end. And if we take a look at this, what we're doing is we are so for the generate 30-minute time slot data flow, what we're doing is we're passing in the start time and the end time. And then in this transform, we are checking to see if the start time and end time first are they are a 30-minute increment, or they can be split up into 30-minute increments. If not, then it'll return back an empty list, and we won't loop through it. But if it does, we're using the range function here, and the range function is essentially going to give us what are the 30-minute increments for the start time and end time. So I've got the start time and end time here of 9 and 10:45. So that returns essentially 3 increments of 30. So you got 9 to 9:30, 9:30 to 10, 10 to 10:30. There's no 30-minute increment between 10 to 11 because it stops at 10:45. So we've got 0, 30, and 60, right? So this is what that function does, is it splits that up. And I have to round it down. So essentially what I'm doing is I'm just dividing it by 30 and then rounding it down and doing some logic against that. So in this one, what we're doing is we are looping through this array and adding the start time to these values, so 0, 30, and 60. So you can see here I've got 9, 9:30, 10 o'clock, and that's pretty much it, because 10:30 actually isn't a valid one. Cool. And then I return it back to the get free slots data flow. So if I keep going here, all right. So then I run this, and this returns back essentially 11:30 as a free time slot, 2 o'clock, 2:30, 3 o'clock, 3:30, etc. But because this is in extra brackets, so you can see there's an empty one here and this has an extra bracket, I can run flat, and that's going to make my array nice and flat here. And so then I return this back as an out. So then I return this back as an output of this. And then if I go back to my web flows, what we can do is, let's go ahead and create a what was I gonna do? A time slot, or sorry, a repeater. So I've got a repeater here, and we're gonna go ahead and add a container. Then inside of that container, we're gonna go ahead and add a button. And these are gonna be the available times. So we've got this button, and because I can't see anything, not the best, I can add some dummy data in here. All right. So I need to create a variable, and I need to call it, create a global variable. Let's call it, this is gonna be a list of any. And so we can call this availability. Go ahead and pass some data in here. This is then going to be a formatted date time. So we can do something like format date time item, comma, we'll do something like that. And here we can pass session dot availability. Awesome. So I'm also gonna add some spacing here. Very cool. And let's test this out. What I expect is when I select this, I should be able to see the time slots. So if I click on the 18th, oh wait, I actually never ran the data flow. I need to do that on value change here. So on date picker, we need to run a data flow, get free slots. This is going to be date picker, and this is going to be session dot availability. All right. So let's go ahead and choose the 18th. Awesome. And you can see these are the times that I am essentially available. Why is it passing 255? Let's see. What about the 19th? I think because I have like weird times on the 18th. Yeah, and then I don't allow it on Calendly. I don't allow it to pass there. So this looks like it matches 11, 2, 2:30, 3, 3:30, 4, 4:30, 11, 30, 2, 2:30, 3, 3:30, 4, 4:30. Awesome. Cool. So that actually works out. And so let's see. It actually looks very similar. So when I click on this, I want there to be a confirm button. And so I can actually, let's see, I can actually go ahead and add another button in here. And this is going to be confirm. So let's put these side by side. General, and then those side by side. And let's make this like 12 pixels. And I want this to say confirm on it. But I also only want it to show up when I need it to show up. And so that's what essentially when I click on that button. And so what I need to do is I need to, let's see, there's actually a on action click event over here. And so I can click on the plus icon, set a variable, and this is going to be session dot availability dot, or actually index dot selected, and this is going to be true. And so what that's going to do is when you click on this, I want this to be visible that's when you do it. When you click on this, I want this to be visible when session.availability index is equal to true. And then I think, what does the Calendly do? Calendly turns this gray. So we'll turn the background color gray as well. So we can do if session dot availability index dot selected is equal to false, then primary, else theme dot we'll just do text secondary. I think that's theme dot text secondary. That's pretty safe. What is it? Does that also change color to? All right, so we'll take this expression and we'll change the font to oops, what was it? Brand primary. So theme dot brand primary, and then this one is theme dot. Actually, don't remember. This one is theme dot background primary, or just white. Cool. Awesome. I think one other thing I need to do actually is when you select on this, you actually want them all to be, you actually want to make all instances of selected equal to false as well. This is because dot selected, and actually not the index, but all instances is equal to false. This is because it actually is like, you want to make them all instances false, or else each time you select it, it won't, they won't close. And essentially, you want to only be able to allow the user to select one time slot. All right, so let's go test this out again. And if I select the 19th, I guess if it's false, oh, that's not what I wanted. Okay, let's see what happened there. If session.availability index.selected is equal to false, then theme.background color, theme.text second. Oh, it's because by default it's false. Let's just make this true, and then we'll switch them up. So if it's true, then text secondary, comma, theme dot background primary. And we're going to do the same thing for the font color as well. So then if this is true, this is going to be background primary, and then theme dot brand primary. Cool. That's just changing colors. What about this one? Why didn't these show up? Session.availability index. Oh, dot selected. Cool. Okay, let's try this again. That's probably why they all were broken. All right, so try this again. Click on the 19th, 11:30. Awesome. Very similar, just no animations, but super cool. So when I click on confirm, what I want to do is then I go to this next screen here. Right. All right. And so on this confirm button, what I want to do is I want to pretty much pass the, I guess, like the slot over into the other page. So this is going to be actually like a date time. And let's just call this selected slot. And then here on this click of the confirm button, we could do session dot selected slot is then equal to item. So I want to pass this over into my next web page. And so let's go ahead and create another web page. So this web page is going to be the, I don't know, enter details and confirm. So this, let's just take this, pass that in, Calendly by Airkit, and then let's go look at use this for inspiration. So let's just say this is a 30-minute meeting. Use an H2. 30-minute meeting with Isman. And then underneath there, we'll just do something like 2 to 2:30 p.m. So this is going to then be format date time session dot selected slot, and then I need to look at the documentation for the slot selection. So we go over to, let's see, reference date time selected, format date time. I want something like, let's take this one. We'll get a fancy date and then pass that back. But I also want to add 30 minutes to it. So I'm just going to concatenate from 9 a.m. to format. Actually, I need to add to date time first. So plus add to date time session dot selected slot, and then 30 minutes, and then I need to format this, format date time, and I'll just pass this here. Format date time, comma. Sweet. All right. Let's see if that actually works. Take this date time, put it in the selected slot. Cool. August 19th, 2022, 4:30 p.m. to 5 p.m. Perfect. Let's add a bar here, or like essentially a like some divider, and then here just empty label, and then change, put a border on this, 2 pixels. So, and then I don't think we'll accept this. Perfect. Awesome. So this is my 30-minute meeting invite. And then if I go and take a look at this, I've got enter details, name, email, this add guest. Okay, add guest, and then more summary. So let's create this form real quick. So we'll make a do a small header here. This is going to be enter details. And then I want to add a few fields here. I think it's just name. And then email. Let's see. Email input. So name, email, and then add guests, I think. So what was that? Looked like there's a button here that, okay, so add guests, and then this guest email thing pops up. So I have a container, and then inside of that container, well, actually I need a button first. Let's do a button here. And this is gonna be add guests. Let's make this like 50%. And then on this, we're gonna go ahead and let's see. We'll do an email input. And then I need a label to say guest emails. Okay. So on click of this, I need a boolean, but let's make that an activity variable for good practice. Webflow, that's going to be a boolean. This will be add guests. By default, it's false. So if add guests is, so I need to make this click. Or I need to add a set variable on this on click. So this is going to be add activity dot I think it's because I didn't save yet. Did I put it? I didn't put it on the right page, huh? Oh, yeah, I didn't put it on the right page. Let's try again. We'll call this add guests. And this is going to be on the Webflow. And this is going to be on the enter. Excuse me. This is going to be on the enter details page. All right. So add guest, enter details and confirm. Now it should show up. Activity.add guest. And then this is going to be true. So that means when you click on this button, this is only visible if add guest is equal to true. Let's see if that works. And then on the button of this is visible. All right, see if that works. And then on the button of this is going to be essentially the opposite of add guest. So this is visible. This is visible when add guests is equal to false, pretty much. Yeah. Let's see how that goes. All right. Essentially, I want that to disappear. So if I go here, and then I select this, I confirm, I add guest, that gets removed, and then we have guest emails. Sweet. All right. So for here, I want to do it on enter. So if I wanted to add some guest emails, I'm going to create a list of emails here, and we are going to go ahead and put this on this, and this is going to be called list emails. On enter, I want to append list emails, append user function list emails with email email underscore input underscore one. So this, I want to change this to guest emails. I think that should actually change. Cool. That changes the variable as well. So that'll change guest underscore emails, or that'll essentially start adding it to a list or an array. And then here, let's add another header, container list, and then container, and then we are going to, let's do label for now. And I'm going to use this label so that it adds some padding. And then we'll do item. And this is going to be activity.list emails. And then on this container, what I want to do is add a button. And we're going to make these side by side. And I also want to actually, let's just put some sample data here. Okay, cool. Some sample data, because I know that doesn't look good. So we'll make this an X. And then how do we want to do this? Let's just this. Let's take this button. What if I make this 30% on the button, and then actually I just want it to be like, actually, what if it's auto space or fill content? I mean, fill content, and then like 18 pixels. Just make it really small. Remove some of this padding here. And then what if I change this button too? I think this just needs this like a tiny bit of margin, or yeah, just like 5 at the bottom. And then is there anything I can do here? Like put just a little bit of spacing. A little bit too much. How about 10? Maybe 8. that look like it? Oh, not remotely. um, and then what if we like, what if we did this so that the width of this container is like just the space of the content, and then we change the background of this to like a gray, and then we add some padding at the bottom here. Ooh, a little bit too much. 8. And those are starting to look like pretty good. Actually, what if not padding but margin? Like 4? Cool. So I want to see what that looks like. Oh, and then on this X, I want to remove it from the list. So I forgot to mention I have a user-defined function here where it just removes it from the list. And you can see here you pass the list and then you pass the index. What you do is on that button over here, you can set a variable, and this is going to be activity dot list emails, and then we do list remove activity dot dot list emails comma index. So let's go ahead and try that out. So then let's go ahead and choose a time. We'll confirm that, put in my name, and I want to add some guests. So we'll just do test at airkit.com. And I want to null that out actually, but let's just say test2 at airkit.com. And then test3 at airkit.com. Very cool. And then if I click on this, it should remove from there. Awesome. Sweet. Let's just change the style of this a little bit. Let's make this white, and we'll make the background of this blue here. Because then when you click on this button, it'll actually like look like I can actually remove it. All right, so that's what if I do something like but I want this container list. You know, that this then needs to be like, no, that's like the stuff in between the container. This should be 100%. It is. How do I get there to be? I think I have to do in here. Maybe 8 pixels. And then here, let's just do like 8. I don't know why it's going past here, I would expect it to stay, but let's see. Okay. All right, let's try this out. 9:11, 11:30, confirm. Add some guests. Oh. I think it's because because we're appending this, it actually doesn't stack. Yeah, we'll have them stack on top of each other here. Oh, wrap. Aha, that's what I'm looking for. Okay, so I actually need for it to wrap, and then this is going to be these containers. I want this to actually like, how do I, the width 15, the width is auto. I think if I think if I can, imagine if I put this in a container. Hmm. Oh, then I can just like right align this guy, or maybe put it in the middle. Just we'll just right justify this, and then just add just a tiny bit of padding over here. The other way, the proper way. Oops. Awesome. Okay, sweet. So that looks pretty good. That took a lot longer than I thought it was gonna be, but styling could be kind of fun. So the last thing I want to do is, let's see, please share anything that will help prepare for our meeting. So I'm gonna add one more. Here, and this actually needs to be outside of the container. Please share anything that will help prepare for the meeting. And then we'll add a text area here. So input, and this is going to be text area. Sweet. Awesome. And so now I'm going to add a button click. And this is going to be schedule event. Cool. So now the fun part, which is connecting all this up to Google and Zoom. So the first thing I want to do is I am going to run a data flow. And this data flow is, let's just create one right now. This is going to be schedule event. And the data that I want to pass back is the date time, which is the selected time. I want to pass essentially all that data that's here. So it's going to be name, email, and then list of emails. So this is list guest emails. And then let's just call it preparation notes. Cool. Anything else that I get from here? I don't think so. Okay, so I've got all this data here. And I want to generate the Zoom meeting first. So let's go ahead and generate the Zoom meeting. And I've actually got I actually have a data flow that I already created. But just to walk you through it, it's a post request. And this is the body of the request. And so I'll put the link in the description below for the Zoom API for this generate meeting API. But what I want to do here is I want to pass the user ID, which is essentially, let's see, I actually don't think I use it here because I hard coded it. Yeah, so the user ID is essentially just like for my email. But I've got the start time, which is going to be here. And then the email, which is going to be no reply at Airkit. And that gets passed here. And the invitees are essentially like a list. It looks like it's a list of emails, pretty much. So that probably, let's see, we are going to need to change this to a list of emails. And then this is going to be list of emails. So this is going to be, well, actually, I think this actually needs to be a type any. Going to be an array. Yeah, this actually needs to be to list of any. So list of emails, and we're just going to pass this in here. Start time. Let's see what the Zoom API is requiring. Zoom API, create meeting, I think. What's the start time requiring? Let's see. Is there not? Start time. This is the date time to start in time in GMT. Use this. For example, start at a specific time zone. Use this and specify the time zone ID. So I need this. So then start time is actually going to be a date time. And then for here, we can do format, date, time, start time, comma, this. And that should work. Cool. So this is what you get back from here. All I really care about is this. Do I care about? Let's just do the start URL. Let's do the start URL and the join URL and then the password. I think that's what's interesting. Oh, topic. I actually want to pass agenda, my meeting. Topic is going, this actually is going to be the, we'll just call, okay, we'll just hard code it, 30-minute Airkit meeting. That's fine. Okay. So then what I'm interested in is essentially the start URL .start URL. I am also interested in the join URL. And then this is result.join URL. The password. Password. Result password. And I think that's good enough. Yeah, let's just run with that. Unable to run frame start time. Oh, it doesn't like this. We'll just do something like this. All right, cool. So that is good enough for us. Let's pass that back from this create Zoom meeting. So now what I can do is I can run a data flow inside of this data flow, which is generating the Zoom meeting. I only need to run one. So the user ID, I actually don't think I need a user ID. Remove that. It's because it's using my credentials already through like the Zoom app. So the start time, it's going to be selected time. And then the list of emails are going to be list of guest emails. And then I think here, let's do the logic on this. So this actually needed to be like curly brace email, curly brace email, curly brace or something like that. So if I go ahead and this, then I can do from email in list of emails, select, and then just like generate this. It'll be email, emails, oops, email, email, just like that. All right. Cool, that looks pretty good. Let's create the Google event now. Or all I need to do is pass that. Once I have that, I'll have that as connection output. And then I can send the Google event. So the create Google Calendar event passes the calendar underscore ID, which actually, I actually don't need that anymore. So remove that. It passes the summary start time, end time, emails, and then description. So we've got the start time, end time, email, description, and then the summary. The summary is essentially the title. So we'll probably hard code that one as essentially like 30-minute meeting with Isman. But here we'll run a sub data flow and create Google Calendar event. And this is going to be 30-minute meeting. Isman. The start time is going to be the selected time. The end time is going to be add to date time, selected time, 30 minutes. List of emails is going to be list of guest emails, and then preparation notes is going to be part of the description. So if I go to my web flows, I realized I needed to connect this data flow here. And do I have that? What is schedule event? Why do I have an email that comes in from there? Oh, it's actually that one. Okay. So I need to do something like merge objects, list guest emails, and then email. And then since I'm using their name, let's just do something like that. An expected on a technical email list, but got object. Oh, I need to do a end user function, list of guest email, and then email. Then on this Google Calendar event, all of the attendees are going to be, I guess if I'm the one sending it out, we'll see. I'm not entirely sure how Google Calendar API works, but let's connect this. So we've got run schedule event, selected time, which is the session dot selected slot. The name is going to be name activity dot text input. I didn't rename this. Do that later. This is going to be activity dot email input. This is going to be guest emails or activity dot guest emails. And then preparation notes are going to be text area. Sweet. No output binding, but then we can just say we'll go to another page and we will say thank you. Okay. Moment of truth. Let's test this out. All right, so I've got that. Let's schedule a time with 11:30. Looks good. Pass. Actually, let's just pass some sample data. So Michael Jordan, and this email needs to be real. So I'm gonna do a bunch of test emails here. So isn't that test Airkit? We'll do a personal email, and then we can do plus test that. Cool. And then be prepared. All right, so we'll schedule that event. That's at 11:30 to 12. See, did I hit any errors? All right, so that's looking pretty good. Let's go and take a look at my 19th. And I've got 30-minute meeting with Isman and Michael Jordan, and Abubakar plus test and Isman plus test at airkit.com. See the description, it says be prepared. So sweet, that actually worked. And you can see here, was able to integrate with the Google API. We were able to integrate with the Zoom API, and did a lot of logic and did a lot of air scripting to pretty much get the free slots out of the busy slots that comes back from the API. And so, yeah, I hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you in the next one. See ya.